Greetings and blessings, blessed souls. Blessings and greetings, blessed souls. This is Donzus Goodman. We're live from Crown Heights, Kessler Crown Heights, and this is the oral Israelite Torah tradition, part 2, which the original one we made on Facebook, but there were a little technical difficulty this morning, so we'll try to present it on YouTube. Starting off with a humble blessing that we see that sometimes unity is achieved for the wrong ends, and we should give a blessing that all of our meetings together, blessed souls, should be with a blessed sense of higher unity, because when we see that when a group of people, like say Sodom or Sodom and Gomorrah, as is mentioned in the Torah, they came together with a type of mentality that they unified upon, which was the expression, ultimately in spiritual terms, of the chaotic organizational or cultural standards of whatever is mine and whatever is yours, and never the two should meet. And for this they were held in judgment, as it says in the prophet Ezekiel, Navi Yecheskel, that it says in chapter 16, chapter 16, verse 49, and it certainly has contemporary applications if we do a little meditation upon the matter, blessed souls. As the Navi said, the prophet said of Israel said, "Behold, this was the sin of Sodom, your sister. She and her daughters had pride, that they had a blessing of bounty of bread and peaceful serenity, but she did not strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. And they were haughty, and they committed an abomination before me, so I removed them in accordance with what I saw." And what the Almighty saw, as the prophet testifies, is that he saw the lack of care for the poor and needy. That being said, blessed souls, let's go back to before the emergence of Noah and his sons and his sons' daughters and his wife, before they went out of the ark. This is from the Talmudic tractate in Sanhedrin, where it says this in Genesis: "Every beast, every land animal, and every bird left the ark by families," which is written in chapter 8, verse 19. Rabbi Yochanan said they were by their families, not by themselves, which implies that in the ark, each species was fed separately, not all species from a common trough. So that must have been pretty hard work, blessed souls, to imagine all the species that were upon the earth inside the ark, and each one had a separate feeding trough. So Chana ben Bizna said, Eliezer, who worked for Abraham, once came to Shem, who was the son of Noach. In Hebrew we would say Shem, son of Noach, or Shem ben Noach. And Eliezer asked him, we understood that they left their ark by their families. So Eliezer asked Shem ben Noach, how were you able to take care of their individual needs? So Shem told Eliezer, indeed we had a great deal of trouble in the ark. The animals that are usually fed by day, we had to feed them by day. And those that were used to being fed in the evening or night, we fed by night. So Shem alluded to him that him and his brothers and his father and their wives, all the women on the board of the ark, they were busy around the clock. Also Shem mentioned that his father did not know how to feed a bird which is called Zekita. Zekita is some sort of small bird, blessed souls. I'm not exactly sure what it is from the old ancient tongue. It could have been a chameleon bird, I'm not exactly sure. Okay. And one day, Shem continued to elaborate to Eliezer, one day he was sitting and cutting up a pomegranate, arimon in Hebrew, when a worm dropped out of it, which the Zekita hungrily ate. From then on, my father would knead bran in water of the Zekita, and when it became wormy, the Zekita would eat it. So you see, Noah had to become sort of like a culinary chef for even a bird, Zekita. Regarding the lion, it was nourished by a fever, meaning apparently the lions in the ark their temperature went up, and therefore they were not tempted to eat other animals. And Rav was one of the great sages of Israel, said fever sustains victims for no less than 6 days and no more for 12 days. And regarding the animal called the arbishino, which is again some sort of bird, which is called chol in the Lashon HaKodesh, the holy tongue of Hebrew, which is called in English phoenix. Perhaps that's the famous phoenix bird, which is mentioned in ancient and modern literature, which is discussed in the book of Job or Iyov, chapter 29, verse 18. So Father, Hashem continued telling Eliezer the story. Father found a lion's niche inside the ark instead of coming outside to be fed. So my father said, "Don't you need food?" So the Arvechina, Arvechina said to Noah, I saw you busy, so I said to myself, I will not bother you with feeding me too. Hearing this, Noah exclaimed, "May it be the will of the Almighty that you never die." And his blessing was fulfilled, for it says in Job 29:18, Iyu perechaf tes posek chai yudches. I said to myself, the pasuk continues, I will expire with my nest intact. I will live as long as the phoenix. So it's interesting, blessed souls, we see that Noah, according to the Talmudic description of the conversation with Eliezer and Noah, he had the wisdom of how to talk to animals. So perhaps Noah was the first Dr. Doolittle. Rabbi Chana Bar Levi, or perhaps Dr. Doolittle, whoever the research for that book, found this Talmudic teaching and transformed Noah into Dr. Doolittle, who actually did a lot, and certainly Noach did a lot too. Noach ish tzaddik, Noach was a righteous man. Rabbi Hananiah ben Levi said, Shem, oldest son, said to Eliezer, when the kings of the east and the west attacked you, what did you do to defeat them? And Shem was asking Eliezer concerning the war that Abraham fought against the four mighty kings, which you can see, blessed souls, by going to Genesis chapter 14. Eliezer said to Shem, the Holy One, blessed be, took Abraham and placed him in his right hand, and we would throw dust at the enemy, which turned into swords. We would throw straw at them, which turned into arrows that struck down the enemy. As it says in Psalms 110, verse 1, as King David wrote of David's psalm, the Almighty said to my master, alluding to Abraham, sit at my right hand while I make your enemies your footstool. And it says, who has aroused Abraham from the east? Who would proclaim righteousness every step he took? Who has delivered up nations to him and subdued kings before him? The one who made his sword like dust, his bow like windblown straw. And that's a prophecy in Isaiah, Yeshayahu Navi, chapter 41, verses 2. Again, that's prophet Isaiah, blessed souls, chapter 41, verse 2. That being said, blessed souls, I think there's a lot here to digest as we continue as members of the nation of Israel to share the blessed oral tradition that were given to us, and also as part of the oral tradition of the history of the human race, as well as each historical lesson being a lesson on how to serve the Almighty through humility and due diligence and zrizut and alacrity, to remove all doubts in the month of the Hebrew month of Adar, Mashaniknas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. We should be increasing in our joyous service this month, whether we be of the blessed children of Israel, the blessed children of Noah. This is Donzas Goodman signing off from Kesser Crown Heights on the third day of Adar, 5,770 years blazing and grazing into creation. Ahava Chad, one love, Gorel Chad, one destiny. The Kolan of all of us, B'darchi Noam, in a pleasant way, B'darchi Shalom, in a peaceful way. The Kolan for all of us, B'ofen Nitzchi, in an eternal way.